What you need is a mirror, not a painting. It will capture the horror I see before me far better than I ever could.
Hey guys, mahal everyone, 40 the Broadway Saiyan here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, bringing you guys another video on Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. In this video, we're going to be covering the next upcoming character event hitting Global DFFOO soon, which is going to be featuring one of the Saiyans of the 7th Dawn from Final Fantasy XIV, Alphinaud. Now, with the release of the Alphinaud character event, we're going to be seeing the debut of actually only Alphinaud's 15 and 35 CP weapons. So this is going to be a 35 CP character only. However, there will be a EX weapon featured on this event, which is going to be Ida's EX weapon, and Ida herself is going to be getting her rework as well. Now, I will be covering that that topic, on her rework in another video, so stay tuned for that. And if you guys want details as far as what Ida's EX weapon does, I will be leaving a link in the video description as well as the pinned comments to my X Factor Part 16, where I go into detail about Ida's EX weapon. Now, remember, we're also going to be having Alphinaud's armor available in the armor token shop, and the boss fight for this particular event is going to be against the Glow Lizards, which is going to be an Iguian type enemy. And don't forget, synergy alongside Alphinaud is going to be with Celeste, it's going to be with Ida, and it's going to be with our current Lost Chapters character, which is Gilgamesh. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at what Alphinaud offers us with his kit. So we're going to start things off with Alphinaud's special buff, and I call this a special buff because it is actually an icon right above his head. So it is called Moonstone. Now, when you start the battle, believe it or not, Alphinaud is going to immediately have this active, which is pretty cool. Now, you could always reactivate it if you lose it by using his ability called Summon Moonstone, but this icon will be active right away. It has a 6-turn duration. What it does is that it increases the party's max brave by 20%, as well as the brave damage received by 20%. So it reduces the brave damage received by your party by 20%, and don't forget, this is applied as an aura, which is pretty cool. Now, Moonstone will have the following effects on Alphinaud depending on the requirements that he fulfills, and this happens at the start of his turn. So if his HP is less than 30%, he's going to be healing his own HP by 20% of his max HP. Now, if his brave is less than 80% of his initial brave, he'll be healing his own brave by 100% of initial brave. And then if his brave is greater than 80% of initial brave and less than 80% of his max brave, he's going to be healing the entire party's brave. And then afterwards, if his brave is greater than 80% of max brave, he's going to be granting himself a framed buff called Radiant Moon for 1 turn, and what Radiant Moon does is it increases Alphinaud's attack and his brave overflow limit by 20%. Now, this will also be changing his brave attack to a command called Sick, and his HP attack to a command called Shining Moonstone. However, this particular special buff does share a similarity, for example, to Deuce's framed buff. So what happens is that if Alphinaud is broken, Moonstone will be dispelled, so he's going to lose the effects of Moonstone. So that's going to be the details for his special buff. Now let's go ahead and take a look at those special base commands that he gets from having Moonstone. So starting off with Sick, and we're going to take a look at it with all passives equipped. So this comes from his brave attack. Again, like we said earlier, requires that Moonstone to be active. It is a 2-hit non-elemental magic single target brave attack. It heals the party's brave based on 100% of initial brave, and it has a 160% brave damage potency. His other special command coming from his HP attack is Shining Moonstone, requiring Moonstone to be active again. It heals his own brave by 80% of initial brave prior to the actual brave hits, and then afterwards he delivers a 2-hit non-elemental single target brave plus single target HP attack with an overflow of up to 120% of max brave with a 120% brave damage potency. Now the next things we're going to take a look at is going to be his abilities, so his actual abilities. So Summon Moonstone with all passives equipped. Will be summoning Moonstone for 6 turns. Literally, he summons Carbuncle. That's who he summons. The creature next to him is pretty much Carbuncle. He heals the party's brave by 100% of initial brave with this ability, and then at the start of the battle, it actually grants Alphinaud 20% max brave increase for 6 turns as a separate generic buff. There is no action delay and no turn count taken outside of friend or summon for this ability, and it has a max usage of 5. His second ability is called Energy Drain, again with passives equipped, is a 4-hit non-elemental magic single target brave plus single target HP attack. It heals the party's HP based on the HP damage that he deals up to 20% of their max HP. Any overheals are converted to their brave. Brave can overflow with this ability up to 120% of max brave. It has a 300% brave damage potency and a max usage of 7. His third ability, which comes from his level 65 passive, is called Brave Regen All. With the 70 and Bloomstone passive equipped, this ability will be granting Brave Regen to the party based on 40% of initial brave. It's also going to be increasing the party's initial brave by 10%. It has a 6-turn duration, and it has a max usage at 2. Finally, we're going to go ahead and take a look at his actual crystal passive, starting off with his notable ones. So from 50, he gets Aether Flow, which is going to be a 10% increase to attack and max brave for the party while buffed. That's great because that's an aura to the party. And then check this out, 54, buff boost and speed up. 60% max brave and speed increase to self while buff. So that's a pretty significant increase right there as an aura to Alphinaud. And then at 58, buff base and attack. 60% initial brave and attack increase to self while buff. So he has some pretty impressive self auras there. And then afterwards at 65, we already know that he gets access to that ability called Brave Regen All. And then at 68, he gets Resonance of Bravery and Power, which is an aura to the party, increasing the party's initial brave and attack by 10%. Now his extension crystal passives are as follows. At 55, Summon Moonstone Extend will be allowing Alphinaud to start the quest with that 20% max brave up or max brave increase for 6 turns. The Brave Heal effect is now for the party. You're going to have Sick and Shining Moonstone are going to have their brave damage potency increased by 40%. It also increases Shining Moonstone's brave hits to 2 and adds that overflow to Shining Moonstone up to 120% of max brave. And then Energy Drain Extend, coming from his 60 passive, is going to increase the brave hits to 4. The HP heal effect is now for the party. It gives it that overflow up to 120% of max brave, and it has its brave damage potency increased by 100%. And his last crystal passive extensions are going to be Brave Regen All Extend. So the 70 passive actually adds that 10% initial brave increase to the party, and then his Bloomstone gives him an additional usage, and then it actually extends the effect durations to 6 turns for that particular ability's effect. And then finally, we're going to go ahead and cover his artifact passive. So he has the following: Bravery HP damage, so increase in brave by 5% or 10% of initial brave if whenever Alphinaud takes HP damage. Bravery Summon Moonstone will be increasing his brave by 5 or 10% of initial brave when he uses that ability. Mighty Energy Drain increases the brave damage by 5 or 10% for energy drain, and then Aether Flow Boost is going to be increasing the effects of that crystal passive level 50 while he's buffed. Now the recommended artifact passives for me personally are as follows. Aether Flow Boost 2-star, obviously, because that is an aura that is applied to the party. The only condition is that he needs to be buffed. It doesn't happen just at the last wave, so that's pretty good. So I would definitely try to prioritize that. And then afterwards, I was thinking about this because a lot of Alphinaud's regen and a lot of his abilities is based on initial brave, so naturally you would want to give him some initial brave. However, I feel like he would also benefit from attack, and the reason why I say this is because the way that Dissidia Opera Omnia functions, especially for the harder stages, you have that very strict turn count. You want to deal as much damage as possible, and even though Alphinaud on paper looks more like a support unit with the regens and the healing and the battery, I feel like he could actually benefit by being able to hit harder, so then he can actually deal damage himself, and he's still providing some support. So you'll lose out on the initial brave benefits if you go with attack, but then if you decide to go with initial brave, I feel like either one is good, so I would put those two as a tie for number 2. And then number 3, if you want to capitalize a little bit on his HP, on his overflow, you could give him some max brave plus 330, so then that way he could deal more HP damage. So those are going to be the recommended artifact passives. So my personal thoughts on this character is he's a mixed bag of things. So he can deal damage, he has overflow, he gives brave regen, he heals everybody's HP, he also batteries, he gives brave battery. He has really powerful auras, especially to himself, 60% to attack, speed, max brave, and I believe it was initial brave. And then he also has auras that he provides to the party. So he's a mixed bag, and the cool thing about this character is that he's very budget friendly. So because he doesn't have an actual EX weapon on this banner, you could technically not have to pull on this banner because, for one, remember when you do a character event, you actually get a free copy of their 15 CP, and if you have a truckload of those weapon tokens saved up, you could actually get his 35 CP from the shop and just be done with Alphinaud's kit right then and there. So you don't really have to pull on the banner unless you're going to be chasing after Ida's EX weapon. Alphinaud as a character, pretty cool. I think he's a great filler character. He's a character that could definitely help you fulfill a role of like a support, healer, and damage dealer all together. He has fairly good longevity provided that he doesn't get broken, because remember, if he gets broken, that moonstone goes away. But then again, that moonstone is pretty cool because it doesn't take up a turn count, it doesn't have any action delay, so it actually helps you keep your turn count pretty low. So for the entire Cosmos era, yeah, Alphinaud is actually pretty good and he's budget friendly. Now for the early Chaos era, sadly Alphinaud I feel like will not be as useful, especially because he doesn't have access to an EX weapon. He won't be hitting nearly as hard, he won't be giving you that damage that you need to be able to deal with the high defense amounts that you're going to be seeing in the early Chaos era. So Alphinaud for Chaos, probably not, but for Cosmos and for budget wise, he's pretty good. Now talking about the banner, it is going to be featuring some other weapons alongside Alphinaud, so it's going to be having Ida's EX weapon like we talked about. It's also going to have Celeste's gear. Celeste is a very niche tank. She has her uses. She absolutely like trivializes any fight where an enemy relies on magic. For example, Ifrit, she totally trivialized that fight. So she's niche. I honestly wouldn't pull on this banner if you're trying to get her weapons. Now let's talk about Ida. So we know Ida gets a rework, and like I said earlier, I'll be covering that in a separate video. And the EX weapon itself is actually extremely powerful. It has a very fast recharge rate. It has really powerful brave damage potency. So Tornado Kick, which is the EX ability that she gets off of her EX weapon, is actually gonna be having a plus variant too, and it's actually gonna be giving her a special icon called Greased Lightning. Now that Greased Lightning turns her Tornado Kick to Tornado Kick Plus, and the plus variant has 750% brave damage potency plus overflow, and it charges really fast. So it's actually a very, very powerful EX weapon. However, with that being said, I personally feel like it's still better to hold off on your resources and still save, because we already know for a fact that we're going to be seeing chaos in the month of November, because Leon, which is the last lost chapters that we're going to be getting in the month of October, is actually the very last lost chapters that will only be having up to EX stage. And then afterwards we know that we're getting Charlotta, who is the character event that's going to be at the very last Cosmos difficulty, and then afterwards we're in chaos. So pulling for Ida right now, I feel like is a great pull. It's a good pull. It's not a must pull. And the character herself, even with a rework, she might be able to survive some of the early chaos if you partner her up with some really strong meta-defining units for early chaos. But then afterwards, she tremendously falls off once we start really getting into the deeper parts of chaos. So if you pull for her now, it'll be cool that you actually have access to her EX weapon, and then she'll have her rework. But honestly, like I said, I would really try to hold off, and if you want to, maybe just throw some tickets at it. Now, the more opportune time to actually pull for that EX weapon is going to be when Alphinaud gets his lost chapters, because not only does Ida get the return of her EX weapon will have its plus variant accessible, and then Alphinaud is also going to be getting his EX weapon, and his EX weapon also has its plus variant on that banner. So if you decide to wait and just pull for it there, I feel like that banner in particular is a better investment for these particular characters versus the initial release of this particular event. Now the last thing we're going to touch up on is going to be those bosses. So the Glow Lizard boss fight is going to be against those two Iguyan type enemies. They have a weakness to thunder, they have no resistances, and they have that standard chase value of 40. Now this is going to be one of the more difficult Cosmos fights in my opinion that we're going to be seeing in Global. So the key thing that you want to watch out for this boss fight is periodically one of them will be attacking your party and the other one will be targeting themselves. So they're going to have target all for themselves. And what they're going to do is they're going to use something called Guard Resonance. What Guard Resonance does is it grants both bosses a brave damage reduction aura. And because it's an aura, you can't dispel that. So the only way you could break them out of that is by breaking them. And you could tell that they're in this state because they're going to have like this yellow aura surrounding them. So this is one of the reasons why this fight can get really difficult, is because they can actually reduce the amount of brave damage that they take. They primarily use magic brave attacks, which is why Celeste is actually a pretty good choice if you want to take her, if you ever built up. Also, she's synergy, so she can absorb most of those magic attacks. Now, a host of their abilities have high turn rates, especially when they're either breaking their targets or already attacking a broken target. So keep that in mind, that they can reduce the amount of brave damage and they have that high turn rate. So it's a really nasty combination, and you just got to be careful when you're fighting against these bosses. They inflict the following debuffs: defense down, initial brave down. So what I would generally do with these bosses is I would take a brave or a brave gravity type character. So Gilgamesh is going to be synergy, so he'll be a fairly good pick, if you have him actually built up, because his rework is decent. Bartz could work fairly well because he also has gravity abilities. So then that way, if you're unable to fully brave shave them during that guard resonant state, you could at least shave off a percentage first. So then that way their brave will be at a lower amount. So that's one way you could deal with this. So like I said, it's going to be one of the more harder Cosmos fights, but if you're prepared for it and you know how to deal with guard resonance and you're ready to deal with their oncoming attacks that have high turn rate, it should be a manageable fight, but it'll definitely be more challenging, I feel like, compared to the previous Cosmos stages that we've had. So we're actually going to go ahead and move forward. I have something special for you guys with this gameplay visual showcase. So first of all, Alphinaud has his EX weapon. I don't have it plus, but I do have access to it. I'm going to be taking and I'm also going to be taking a brand new character who's ridiculously OP that JP just got, which is Cloud of Darkness. So I'm going to be showcasing Cloud of Darkness here too. This character, my goodness, she's nuts. I'm just going to keep it at that. I'm going to be taking the Ramu summon because we know that the glow lizards are weak to thunder. Let's go ahead and jump right into this fight. All right, so this is the Cosmos difficulty. It's going to be the difficulty that we're going to be seeing. And as you can see right then and there, Alphinaud starts off with that Moonstone, which is pretty cool. He starts off with it for 6 turns. Just make sure he doesn't get broken, so then that way you fully benefit from all of the cool effects that the ability has. And if you hear background noise, guys, if you hear like my dog barking or my kid crying, I'm sorry. Our walls in our house are very thin, so sometimes you might hear that in my videos. So just know that I record from my house and I don't really have soundproof walls, so it is what it is. Right. Okay, so I don't think we're going to be seeing this particular boss as the actual mid-fight for the character event itself, but this is the one that you'll see later on in the Lost Chapters version of the fight. Alright, so this is going to be Tornado Kick. Again, it's a pretty powerful EX ability with a pretty fast recharge rate, which is why it's a pretty impressive attack. It's a pretty impressive EX weapon, and I did mention in my X Factor video that it's definitely one of the more, tempting EX weapon to pull for in the month of October. If only the EX weapons that we knew were coming out in November weren't so good, and they didn't have so much hype behind them, then I would recommend to pull on it. But we already know what's coming out, that's why I say hold off. Alright, so we took some HP damage, so we're going to energy drain. Alright, and then with Cloud of Darkness, let's just continuously deal damage. So the thing about Cloud of Darkness is she has a special icon called Darkness. When it gets to 5 stacks, it'll change her command to an extremely powerful ability that deals 3 Brave plus HP attacks. It has massive damage, it has crazy overflow, and then the kicker to it is that it delays that target for 3 turns. So it's absolutely crazy. So there's like a specific rotation that you could actually do with this character. QE, fellow YouTuber QE, actually showed it off, so you should actually check out his video on his channel, because he shows off how powerful Cloud of Darkness is. Like, the character itself is just absolutely crazy. Alright, so this is her EX ability, which also has a delay. It has a 1-turn delay. Alright, so with Alphinaud, we're just going to stick doing this, and I'll go ahead and refresh Moonstone on the next phase here, or the next wave, if he gets a turn. Okay, so there we go, it went away. Alright, so here are the glow lizard bosses. Now I believe they start off by one of them already, or I think they start off with the aura, or it starts off with one of them like applying, there it is, okay, they're gonna apply that aura, so again, really, really annoying. So you have to break them out of it, and as you can see, yeah, see how our brave damage is not so spectacular right now, but then we went ahead and broke them out of it, so they do that little animation where they kind of like, are moved, they kind of move back or something like that. Okay, now this is the ability that I was talking about with Cloud of Darkness. As you can see, that's pretty crazy. And here's Alphinaud's EX ability. So he summons Obsidian Carbuncle. Here we go. So that's Obsidian Carbuncle with his EX. So this is something that he gets in the future, but it's pretty cool. And I believe that doesn't have a turn count, and he doesn't have action delay. So that's a pretty powerful ability right there. Alright, and then we have Tornado Kick available. Or Tornado Kick Plus, I mean. So hopefully Ida doesn't get killed because she's going to get broken. And those things have that high action delay. Okay, so we have her EX ability available. And something about Cloud of Darkness, just a little bit of, a preview on like how that little buff works. If she uses one of her abilities and she actually breaks the target with that ability, she actually gets an additional stack of that darkness. So it helps her accelerate to get her really powerful version of her command too. Alright, and what I'm actually going to do here is I'm just going to go ahead and use her command 2 without the 5 stacks, because it does hit AoE, it does have a delay. Okay, they're going to use that resonance, the guard resonance. We're going to go ahead and just summon Moonstone. So when we summon Moonstone, Obsidian Carbuncle actually goes away, but I do want to take advantage of the effects of that ability. And again, I'm sorry, my son is like screaming right now upon recording this video. His mom, we're trying to get him to nap, so be patient and bear in mind whenever one of my videos has him crying. It will happen. It's just the woes of, it's just part of being a parent, you know? Okay, you know what? Here's what I'll do. So, Cloud of Darkness also has a cool third command where she actually will unbreak the target, which is perfect for her kit because breaking the target allows her to be able to build the stacks better. She gets an additional stack of her darkness icon. So we'll do that. So now she's at 4. Alright, now we're just going to go ahead and summon, try to burst them down. But as you can see, as long as you could deal with the guard resonance, it shouldn't be too difficult, but I will say, when we get this event in Global, this Cosmos stage might be a bit more, one of the more frustrating ones for sure. Just because of that guard resonance and getting your brave damage reduced. Alright, so I'm going to focus fire A because I know that it's about to do some crazy AoE attack, which will likely have HP damage at the tail end of it, and we don't want to deal with that. Okay, so now we have her command 2 at its full power, and look at that damage. That damage is crazy. With full boards and like all the artifact passives equipped, she could deal close to like 200,000 damage or something like that. She's absolutely insane with her damage capabilities. And if you could get Cloud of Darkness's rotation down, especially when she comes out on global, she's quite the powerhouse. She's very fun to play. So I'm really happy that I get to showcase this character for this particular video for you guys. Here's what I'll do. I'll get everybody's Brave up in case we run into some problems. Let's see if he has his EX. No EX. Maybe we could take it out next turn. Okay, so we'll probably eat some HP damage here. Yep, we ate some HP damage. But what happens is if Cloud of Darkness gets hit with an HP attack, she actually counters it. So that's also pretty cool. Alright, so Guard Resonance is about to happen, but we know that A is going to go down soon. Okay, we have Tornado Kick, but I feel like we could just finish it off with... I'll save that EX for B, because we're going to deal with B. Wow, A is still not down? Okay. They have that magic pixel. Took that quote from QE. You can check out his videos for that too. He refers to it as the magic pixel when you think you're about to take down the target because their health is so low and you don't. I can see why that's frustrating. Okay, I'm gonna just refresh your Brave so I could break you. That's cool. I'll just do this. Let's use Energy Drain so we could heal up everybody's HP. Hopefully Alphinaud doesn't get KO'd because he's gonna get broken. And he got KO'd. Okay, so that's unfortunate. So we don't want that to happen, but good thing we have Cloud of Darkness. I forgot that these things are notorious for... They like jump right into their Brave plus HP attacks whenever they get to a certain health range. So my bad, I got Alphinaud killed on this gameplay video showcase, but it is what it is. You know, I'm just showcasing for you guys what the upcoming events entail, so you guys know what to watch out for. Alright, so we have this. Alright, we're just gonna spam skill B, or skill 2 I mean, with Cloud of Darkness just to take advantage of the delay. I don't want that thing taking another turn just because it has the high turn rate on breaking a target. Yeah, we're just gonna... There we go. So sadly, we got Alphinaud killed in his own gameplay visual showcase, but at least you guys know how dangerous the bosses can be, especially when they're at lower health. So just watch out for the Guard Resonance. Be sure you're ready for that. If you could take a Brave Gravity Shaver, such as Bart's or Gilgamesh, they could definitely help out. Celeste could help out too, because Celeste can actually absorb the magic, but just be ready for it. But anyways, guys, this is going to be the end of the video. Thank you guys for watching. 40 the Broadway Saiyan signing out. Mahal, everyone.